Alright, let's see. Let's see. Okay, we're here. How we doing, guys? Everything should be working. Howdy, Xavier. Good to see you, Tyrone. Reminds me of the trailer when the DLC came out and everyone was talking about the snake. I vaguely recall that time. Everyone was talking about snakes. They also like to talk about Impaler's Catacombs. I'm like, no, you're looking at the wrong thing. Like, if we're gonna be looking at anything that could be potentially connected to Mesmer, at least do the grave there, though I was thinking that was a Melina grave. I was like, at the very least, pick the thing with the actual smoldering butterflies that could be connected to that period. Hey, cats. Ghouls. Cat ghouls. Ghouls, cats. Oh, of course, it starts raining again as soon as I... Can it stop raining on Gelmir, please? Seriously. It's not like that's gonna affect the lava any. Stop it. Whatever rain gods exist in this universe. Stop it. Saw one here when we were getting things set up, so. Uh-huh. Oh no, they haven't spawned in! Oh no! No, they have. Now everything's right in the world. God, I'm not fond of the weather in this game sometimes. Yeah, me neither. Sometimes it can be really obnoxious, right? During natural gameplay, it's fine, but when you want to get, like, specific shots, I do wish this camera mod had changed the weather or disable weather option. Sometimes I just want a nice, clear sky day. So that way I can have the best looking skybox and lighting for what I'm doing, you know? There we go. Nothing specific. Yeah, okay. Just generic fancy stuff that's consistent with the Gelmir style elsewhere. Yeah, the fog especially. Especially the... some of those medallions remind me of the rings that Rykard has on his fingers. Got quite a few of them there, too. We're not going to question how all those rings managed to grow along with Rykard, you know? Seeing the sword here, is that actually the same sword we see during his boss fight? I actually don't recall if they look that similar. Got his crown thing. Yeah, I don't know how anyone gets colors from this thing. It very much seems like this is a thing where it's like, it's just using a bunch of reds, yellows, oranges, browns, etc., blacks. It's very much got a very stylistic look to it. Yes? Okay, good to know. Good to know there's a resemblance. I can't remember if these flower pots are used in other areas or if that's unique to Gelmir. There's concept art for the clean sword as well, I think. Oh, that's cool. That's neat. Bookshelf kept in storage here. Cages, more storage stuff. Yeah, nothing special back here. One dog dude over corpse. A rock here. Uh-huh. Blonde hair's in the concept art and manga. Oh, cool to know. In my opinion, blonde Rykar is just supposed to indicate that Ratigan is Marika, much like blonde indicates Lannister incest. That's so. Yeah, it's ultimately what's the word? A Rorschach test, right? What did they pray to here? I imagine the Erd Tree would be the idea once upon a time. Though I doubt that's probably what they're doing in more recent days. I think the fact that you don't see any, like, Erd Tree icons or anything up there is indicative of... Yeah, so we looked over here, we got this with the lamp. Actually, now that I think about it, do we see lampposts, in other cities or towns? I don't think so, right? Again, I just don't think... Again, like I said, I just don't see how you can look at that portrait and go, oh yeah, Rykard is blonde. The entire art style of that, I think, obfuscates any idea of hair color there. And at least his own knights do, in fact, use red plumage. Now, again, whether you interpret that as like, oh, you see they're using feathers instead of, like, you know, actual hair or something, because that's indicative of something. That's a separate thing. But again, talking in the context of the portrait itself, I don't see anything that make me go, oh yeah, Rykard's blonde. The America statue got took down, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, nothing else. This really is just the, just this here. Nothing special about those little branches or anything, right? No, it's just tree branches and roots, you know, typical little things like overgrowth and stuff. God. I love how this section always has giant holes in it whenever I try to look at things. Not that thing, the concept of the portrait. Well, that could ultimately change my mind. Yeah, there's actual concept art that makes it more obvious, and that completely changes it, but... Considering the fact that I've only ever seen people posting the actual image and not, like, the supposed concept art, would make me question why that is. Maybe it's just availability. Nah, don't want a shot there. Guest hall I think I might want to start adding. Might be about time I factor that in. Either farm colonies or adultus unification war, but I have to think about that. Oh, this could be good. Actually, some smoke here. That's actually could be useful. This is actually worth talking about, so... Oh, damn, I had it. Where'd it go? I lost it! There we go. Is it like an angle thing? No. It's a little hard to see when you freeze it like this, admittedly. Maybe I can... Oh my god. It's really hard to get a good shot of this, man. Like, this angle seems like the best one, but, like, the skybox doesn't make it... Does not make this easy. I think this is the best I'm gonna get. Yeah, I think something like this is probably the best. Yeah, it sucks, but I think this is gonna be what I work with. Alright, so at least we got something here to highlight the vents and things. All that hot gas, you know? Yeah, maybe it's not his body heat. Maybe it's just Rykard's farts, you know? Just a lot of flatulence, and it just happens to melt rock, you know? He's a really gassy reptile. Alright, I think we can move on. Cool Temple of Eagley there. Eagley there. Volcano Manor. Nothing else here. We have the chimneys and stuff. But I guess you could wonder what the hell, with everyone locked in their homes, what the hell are they burning through their chimneys, you know? But, you know, it's a volcano place. I'm sure they've got plenty of volcanic stones left over, you know? Okay, just typical hole. Yeah, nothing else here. Okay, so I think that's it, unless there's, like, Unless there's like some items we can pick up here in this dungeon that we can't get, that we would usually get in the overworld, like a volcanic stone or the, actually, what's it called? It's called Holy Blood? I forget what it's called. The Holy Blood Bud, or... Maybe, I think localization maybe calls it Sanctified Blood Bud or something. Maybe. I don't know, I don't have it here. You'll come around to it eventually. I might. I'm not at Rykard though, so I'm very happy about that. So, anything I can do to help me talk less about one more demigod while I try to work on the pre-Radigan era stuff. Always gonna be nice. Can't DM the portrait on Twitter. Are DMs just not working, or... Because last I checked, I have DMs available. I don't think I've changed my settings. I don't know about the concept art, but I did find the paint texture without the manor lighting. We'll put it in the Discord. I assume it would be the same thing. That it's if they're using, if that's in the concept art, because that's usually how it is with the design work stuff. But so far, everything I've seen people post of looks pretty much the same with the very obviously stylized look to it. So I don't know if I've seen the same things that some of you guys might have seen. It says I need to be verified. Oh, is that how it works now? I have to double check. I don't think I'm verified, at least. Maybe I should. I don't know. I gotta look. I don't keep up with that stuff. Fortunately, I'm technologically illiterate. Alright. Let's go from Craftsman Shack. Oh shoot, there's a Discord. Yes, we have a Discord. You can check the link in the description to the website. You'll find it under the contact page. People are free to join. We are currently going through a bit of an episode because of some hacking incident that was hitting the Souls community recently, but we're mostly up and at 'em. It's just I have to go through and write all the rules again for all the different channels and stuff, which is going to be such a pain in my butt. I have enough on my plate as it is. I don't want to have to spend the entire day making sure I can restore all that, but you know, I gotta do it eventually, you know? There we go. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I would not say a portrait comparison is a good argument. Because that assumes that all portraits are going for the same artistic, angle for with their style. And I would not compare, like, say, the Radon portrait that you see in Volcano Manor to the Rykard portrait and think they're trying to go at all for the same style. Obviously, very different approaches each goes with. That's even assuming that the pictures are 100% lore accurate, which, well, we got wonderful Godfreys and Stormveils to discount any of that. So there's always that element. Though I would assume that's not the case when it happens with Rykard. I'd like to assume, whether he's blonde or otherwise, that they're at the very least not going to be misleading us there with how they're applying their concept art. Let's see. Well, let's see. There's Wyndham. I could have swore there was some of the Sanctified Blood stuff here, but I have volcanic stones everywhere. Maybe it's down here. I swear, every time we visit Gelmir, we have to go say hi to the wolves. Well, there's some volcanic stones. Ah, that's Nicola Lily. There's no Altus blooms on Gelmir, right? I feel like I would have noticed if there was an Altus bloom on this volcano, especially in this little section where the trees haven't been completely burned. Ah, there you guys are. Yeah, that'll work. Why is Godfrey's portrait inaccurate? He chose his broken axe. The axe he only broke after he left the Lands Between, and hasn't returned since the, hasn't returned until the, after the Shattering. Just in case of them taking that image with him, like, you know, standing on the sea and stuff, and be like, ah, yes! Good old Godfrey. You know, trying to depict him, you know, like, kind of like in his moment with the Long March and all that jazz, right? Then it was like, you know, an epic. It's an awesome artwork, right? So, of course, like, throw it in Stormvale and all that stuff, but then it's like, wait a second. Wait a second. This shouldn't... That shouldn't be depicted like that yet. Yeah, nothing else here. It's just that. There might be more stones, though? Yeah, like right here. Okay, yeah, so the stones are pretty consistent. There's not like a limit to their range or something. Same with the buds. And this is why artistic license must always be a factor in consideration for analysis. I like how they apparently either these things grew between the corpses. They're like, listen, we want to grow anyway. We don't care if there's like, we got a bunch of bodies under us, right? Or alternatively, the idea must have been that all those corpses fell, but those goddamn branches were too strong to get broken or twisted or anything from all the body weights falling. Yeah, statue in Stormville has the full legs, yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, oops, you know, it's one of those little oopsies where you're like, yeah, of course, like, that's an obvious oversight by the devs, right? They weren't thinking about that at the time, and, you know, it's just a portrait, you pass by it a million times, it becomes part of the background scenery, it looks really cool, it's distracting, like, it's one of those things where you can easily see why they missed it. And if anyone did notice, it was probably one of those things like, you know, it's not worth talking to the artist, asking them to, like, you know, commissioning them to, you know, make an edit of that where it has the fit, like, you know, it just becomes too much work. Hey, Nick. Welcome to the chat. Sorry to ask a DS question on ER stream. I don't care. But what's your social security number and mother's maiden name? Ha ha ha! No, it's not happening. Don't even joke about that. Alrighty. Foiled again. I'm sure there's someone out there in the world who will fall for that. Just gotta keep trying. Like they say, there's a sucker born every minute, right? Sometimes I'm that sucker. Sometimes not, though. Not today. Ah! Alrighty. Let's see. Nothing else there we care about. Nothing else there. So we have some of that stuff over here. I don't think we have any volcanic stones though around Altus that is bordering Gelmir, right? But I wonder if there could be more of the red Glinstone stuff. Like, could there be a pattern there? My gut would say no. That if they did make that intentional, it would be a one-off thing. But let's see. Let's see if my gut's worth a damn. Ah, well, we got one. It's technically. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Oh, yeah. Again, it could just be coincidence. Because there isn't... Really? It's still raining? It could just be coincidence. Because they do like to stuff those things in corners, but because it's like 4 of them, and I don't recall if that's like a norm with those. I always remember it being like 1 or 2. But it's worth double checking. Oh my god, please just stop the rain! Weather! Weather! I may be mistaken, but isn't there red Glinstone in Heretics Rise and Consecrated Snowfield? Is it red? I remember it being gold. If we're talking about, like, inside the actual tower. I remember Smotow was mistaking it for red, but I can't remember if it was that tower or another one he was talking about. Alright, finally. Oh my god, these goddamn sheep! Get out of here. There. It's gold? Yeah, okay, yeah, that's the one. If it's the one I'm thinking of, then yeah, it's definitely gold. But maybe there's stuff, like, around it that's the quote-unquote red Glinstone, right? It might be some of this stuff, but... Yeah, it has the Altus gold ore texture. Okay, I'm not crazy. Alright, so we got that there. Oh, what's a good example of the sanctified Mikola blood bud things outside of Altus or Gelmir, like in Liurnia or somewhere? Does anyone have a specific spot they remember where you can find some of them? I want them to be, I mean like the random ones, not the ones where it's like, oh, this is an area like, you know, with like, you know, lots of blood roses and, you know, mauve stuff or whatever, like just like random locations. I'm pretty sure this wouldn't count as, like, bordering Gelmir, but hey. Ooh! Ooh! Woohoo! Ow! Worst thing that could have happened is if I had unintentionally, like, looted some of that stuff from somewhere. And so I missed it. Good. Here's one? One of the rare cases where we just got one here, eh? I'm gonna take the shot like this because I don't know if it's important. Rot Church and Kaled? Okay, we're gonna check there then. An explanation to the invisible walkway over by Heretic's Rise. I imagine the quote-unquote heretic designed that as like a back door to get in, and that would be the intention behind it. Again, whether there's an actual walkway or it's like actually just like invisibility, some sort of invisible magic stuff. Like, again, I haven't gone that deep on it, but like my presumption is, yeah, some sorcerer did magic stuff and created a back door into the place, and we can't get through the front door, so that's how you're supposed to get it. That'd be my assumption. Okay, but there's nothing. We don't care if there's anything over here, so. Okay. Yeah, I feel like I would know if there were Ultus blooms on Gelmir because they stick out pretty easily. But like here we have some Gelmir foliage, right? Like it's not the yellow foliage we have over there. This area is all Gelmir, and then it goes back to being Ultus over here. So, like, yeah. Thanks, boss. No problem, man. Alright, Rot Church. Oh, Rot Church and Kaled, though. The one with, what's her sit? Millicent. That one's the one with a bunch of them, though, right? That one's got like a bunch of them scattered about. Hey, buddy. I know, sucks to be a sicko, right? I'm actually kind of surprised we don't have any here. Like, I feel like this would have been like the easiest win. Like put some over down here in the corner or something. Yeah, I would assume it's more so a Mikla thing, but again, I do, my thing with the Church of the Bud is just that I don't think that would be counted as like, you know, natural random occurrence, right? Like, I'm thinking of more of cases where you find them in Liurnia, because I just want to do a comparison of how common is it that you have like 1 or 2 of these, right? Like we have here, versus 3 or 4, like we see a lot on Gelmir. Because I can't remember if that's, like, if they're, like, about even, if it's pretty infrequent outside of Gelmir, right? Like, if it's, like, usually just 3 or 4, or if it's usually just 1 or 2, right? Like, somewhere in the middle. Like, you find a pool of water, you're gonna find blue flowers, more likely than not, right? Like, that I think is true in almost, like, 90% of cases. Like, is that the same when you're finding just random Nicola stuff, or is Gelmir truly, like, special in that regard? And I want to make sure that when I make my argumentation, I'm very precise here with the data, so I don't have to make corrections later. Yeah, like, I'm not finding any randomly here. There's that spot here, but, you know, that's another Nicola heavy spot area, right? Yeah, and I don't remember off the top of my head any, like, random location where it's like, oh yeah, there's, like, a few buds here. You just grab a few. They're over there in the corner or something, right? Alright, so let's see. We checked all the way around here. We found a few here. So that's a... Let's go from Unsightly Catacombs now. Yeah, I am too. I just got nothing's coming to mind. Alrighty, and now we do our survey this side. I still gotta somehow fit in all these yellow flowers growing here. I might have to rewrite the section where I talk about the talk about the Miranda flowers growing here, or at the very least have to somehow fit in, like, oh, you know, it's Miranda flowers that are being cultivated here, along with a bunch of yellow flowers and Altus blooms, right? Among others. Because you also have, like, the Mikla lilies over there. Got a little Mikla lily garden. Anyway, okay. Back to what I was doing. Golden Roa. Nothing. Hello? Hello? Sanctified, blessed bud things, whatever you're called. Where are you? Where are you? Hello? Oh, they're not showing up. Not seeing any here. Or down here. Alright, but then when we go up here... Oh, no, not here. Yeah, it's just the one odd one here, huh? I don't think I've looted others, so... Yeah, if it's just the one odd one here, then yeah, I don't think that's significant. So the only one that might count is the one by Wyndham Catacombs. Because it's just such a large amount. All the other cases we have, it's just like one odd one. Wonder what the relationship between Trisha and the Perfumerines is, because like there's an omen killer in the ruins. It just seems like anti-omen killing. I actually am going to be talking about omen killers in my Reign of Radigan thesis. Because there's actually a interesting implied history there. Along with a bunch of stuff that the DLC adds, which both kind of complicates it, but also kind of adds some cool new details and stuff with the lore there. But yeah, the relationship is seemingly like they're all on the same side. They're all working together. Omen Killer's basically just there to be muscle. He's not causing any problems. And this is really cool too, because when I finished doing it, I'm like, oh, you know what? That actually ties in so much well into like Morgoth's lore during like the Shattering and stuff like that. Like, man, I really kind of want to do a Shattering thesis just so I can talk about Morgoth. Like, I just want to do more Morgoth lore. Like, maybe sometime I'll do, Omens as well, just like the general Omen background stuff. But I'm not totally sold on the exact mechanics of the curse that leads to, you know, the Omen becoming the Omen or whatever, right? I guess I could always stay vague on that and always add in more details later, right? But, I don't know, I just love Morgoth. Now that I've covered Godric, it's like, damn. Now I got Morgoth. He's the last character that I, like, really would love to have fun talking about. According to Wikis, Wraith Claws at Shaded Castle drop Sacramental Blood, which is interesting. That would be... yeah, here, right? I wonder how far out that extends, because there's also a few Wraith Callers we got over here. Could be because of the Melania stuff. Because we have a few of, like, Melania's servants and stuff here. Could be because of Gelmir. And could just be... could be something else going on there. Yeah, I'd want to double check to see if they actually are part of the loot tables. I'm pretty sure Nobre has the data on that, so I'll have to ask him at some point. Alright, so all of that's been done. Let's do one last look through Seathwater River. God, Radigan's Reign. I want to get back to working on that. It's apparently a lot of people really want me to talk about Radigan. Like, the era of peace and prosperity, where basically nothing happens. People want me to talk about that. Goodness me. The hell? Does the water usually have this effect? I want to say yes, but I don't know, there's just like something kind of ethereal about this blue. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. It looks normal here, so it might just be the angle. Yeah, no. Best to just keep it at midday lighting. Oh my god, come on. Okay, whatever, fine. We'll be a few minutes off of midday. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, I have to talk about the sulfur too. Ah, there's so much to talk. Ah, God, this Gelmir snake worship. I swear, Elden Ring is a black hole, chat. Don't ever get into Elden Ring lore analysis. It will suck you dry. It never lets go. It never lets go. Hello? Oh, really? Really? Come on. Come on. Oh my god. There we go. There we go. Stupid controller. All right. This one's already open. There we go. Let me know how things progress from here, so I don't need to go further. These deers are the bravest deers I've ever seen. They're just casually walking through piping hot water. Or at least it should be piping hot. There we go. Alright. Alright, so looking over, let's see. I have to talk about... Alright, I got volcanic stones covered, but I have to also include Seathwater River, these heat vents, the general, gaseous emissions that we have around the volcano, including around Seathwater, the, sacramental buds, and their connection to Red Glinstone, as well as probably at least try to come up with an explanation for their origins, which I assume would be all the blood that's been sacrificed on Gelmir, probably permeating, like, the heat and all that stuff, and yada yada, we all become family, right? Right. And as I recall... Yeah, nothing special here. Yeah, we're good here. Alright. Should also talk about... Oh, I don't know, maybe. Maybe. Okay, so... When it comes to the Snake of Gelmir and stuff like that... The best hypothesis I can come up with, like, right off the bat, is that it might be a kind of fallen creature, insofar as, like, it may be this, like, it might be an actual, like, say, god of the quote-unquote heavenly realm, which has fallen to Earth, right? Kinda, like, sort of, like, inspired by, like, a biblical Garden of Eve type, Garden of Eden type situation, right? Because we do know that there are such things as, like, these animal god things that exist, right? Like with the beast, the divine beasts and the divine birds and things that we see, and Hornsent culture that gets summoned around and all that jazz, right? So we definitely know that's a thing. For sure. So I'm wondering if the snake is sort of like one of those classes of creatures, which basically got, like, banished from that realm. Because it doesn't seem like it has, like, it's not like Frenzy Flame, where, yeah, there's obviously a little bit of, like, you know, malice sprinkled in there, but it seems to be very much rooted in this principled stance of, you know, the world is full of suffering, and any world which allows for suffering doesn't deserve to exist. Anyone who has to endure the full capacity of the world's suffering would agree with that conclusion, right? Like, that seems to be, like, sort of the philosophical ethos behind what the Frenzied Flame God is doing, right? About why it wants to destroy creation. Whereas with the snake, it seems to just be kind of like, just fuck you, Greater Will. I'm gonna keep eating and then devour your world that you created, right? Like, that seems to be the only real motive I'm sussing out here. And in that context, it seems then like it's very much like a personal thing, which makes sense in the vendetta of kind of like sort of this, the cast out of heaven type idea. But I'm not sure how deep I really want to go into down that rabbit hole for this. Let's see. Does the JP name for the Serpents of Mninion specify whether it refers to a snake the Mninion is from, or the snake that's still in the Mninion? It's definitely referring to, based on, like, the way it's written, it's definitely referring to, like, it being, like, a snake Mninion, I would say. Yeah, I don't think you can kind of, like, finagle that to be like, oh, no, it's actually referring to the snake man inside of it. But as I recall, I think the description also reinforces that point. Let's see. Yeah, okay, if that's it, then I don't have that much more I need to add then. It's just a few more paragraphs on, like, the land stuff, and then trying to work in the Dominula and Hermit Village stuff, which I already have written. It's just, getting the connecting bits. Maybe have to do, like, a few edits here or there to make it, more conducive to this specific analysis I'm working on. But looks like it'd be generally pretty much done, Why are you here? Why? Ah! Yeah, I know. Sir, you were trying to dig at worms out of wood. Get it? Yeah, reading that, I don't think there would be any way to kind of finagle that to be like, oh, no, it's actually referring to the serpent man inside of it. It's definitely referring to the idea that it's, it's the amnion of a snake, belonging to a snake, right? No, oh no, there are volcanic stones. Okay, like I was about to say, I'm like, we haven't found that many volcanic stones in this specific section, but no, yeah, they do exist. And going back here. Yeah, and then we're back to where we started. Oh. Alright! I've had enough of Hamby, I will say that. Please just stop it with all the snacks. Oh, actually, since we're here, get another look inside the maiden. Ugh. Alright. That's the tail. Oh. 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 Okay. Okay. Then... Uh-huh. This we go. Does this imply a womb without an egg? Not necessarily. It's just talking about a womb, Night Scout. Yeah, so these things may be artificial then. That, or they definitely didn't design them with an idea of making sure that they, you know, actually were anatomically accurate. Granted, I am looking at them when you're not supposed to see them, so maybe it makes more sense when you actually, like, see them do the grab animation. Yeah, I'm not familiar enough with snake biology. I know that some snakes don't lay eggs, but I assume the idea is going with that the majority do, right? Also have to keep in mind that this is a snake that apparently can, like, assimilate with people and stuff, so that also has to play a role. I always thought they were fake snakes, but then they bleed. Wait, do the actual snakes bleed when you're, like, if you hit them? Or, like, is it, like, part of, like, a death animation or something? And my assumption with snake biology would be that the idea is that it has to have some kind of womb or something to develop the egg, and then the egg would come out or whatever. But hey, what do I know about snake woman? I ain't a scaly. Yes, yeah, I've gone back and forth. Like, I initially thought they might be fake, but then the way they behave and stuff, and the way they put, like, the meat stuff in the middle makes it be like, okay, well, maybe they are real, and they just kind of look fake, the way they texture them, right? Because, again, so many of these enemies don't have, like, super high-quality textures. I wouldn't be crazy if the snakes you're only supposed to look at briefly don't look that detailed, right? Right, like, look at this. Look at this. Woo! Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is that it might just be, yeah, that because they're so briefly, there's other stuff going on, it's a quick animation. Like, there's definitely justifications for why to say, like, okay, that doesn't necessarily, you know, just because they look kind of fake doesn't mean they are fake, right? But their biology is definitely looking screwed up, me trying to follow those tails. You have two tails that just connect to each other. They don't seem to connect to anything else. Alright, so we're gonna go up here and then we'll be done. Thank God it stopped raining. This area is so annoying. There we go. You think the serpents could be metal and the blood mist is just the meat? Could be. Could also be, like, leftovers from, like, other people they've had, because, like, the idea seems to be that they kind of, like, torture them as they bring them over to Gelmir, right? You know, start early on that inquisiting. Is that how you say it? Inquisitoring? Inquisitioning? Inquirawada? Pretty sure I have a shot of these. I'm pretty sure I have a shot here. I might have looted these, though, because I remember there being more than two. Yeah, there they are. Okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not nuts. For once. Okay. A little bit more. There we go. Yeah, there's also the bronze snake thing that seems to come to life, so it's not like it'd be a crazy idea if they have something that at the very least is able to very accurately simulate life, if it's not actually alive. But who knows, maybe you could argue they're type of really simple, small golem. So yeah, I'm really not sure where I'm gonna land on that. Again, the less I have to think about the right card stuff, the better. I've got enough on my plate at the moment. Oh, one here. That is the first time on actual Gelmir we've seen it just one, right? Maybe the second. Yeah, I don't see any other around here. Don't think I looted anything because I don't see any stones. Yeah, whenever I think of these, I usually think of like something like this where there's only like one or two of them in an isolated area. Not like what we've been seeing as the norm here, which has been like 3 or 4. Yeah, nothing here. Oh, then we have the cave, which is like normal cave stuff, right? I can't remember, does this cave have any like plant life or something in it? I do not recall. Not gonna lie, sacramental buds and lily placements blend together in my mind. Yeah, I could see that. For me, I just don't commit any of that stuff to memory generally, unless it's like Xavier says, like it's like, you know, Church of the Plague or like some big area where you find like a whole heckin' lot of them. Then it's like, okay, yeah, I recall you. Well, it's just like here. I would never remember that there's one of these here. It's so random. That's gonna leave my mind by like probably 2 days from now. I won't even remember that I brought it up. Alright. Why are you here? Why do you love just showing up in obscure corners? Why do you do this to me? Why? You goddamn pupas! Alrighty. Woo! I forget what this guy rewards you. Like, is it just a bunch of goldsmithing stone and that's it? Or is there any, like, glassmithing stone involved there? Or, you know. Yeah, at some point, I'm sure the Trina and Mikla Lilies thing will be something I'm going to have to start pinpointing as well. But again, much like with Rykard, I'm happy to say that I am able to put those off for hopefully years. I do not want to have to think about them. too hard. I have enough factors to have to sort through! It's really funny how this area looks from here, you know? No way gate there. Oh god, that looks so awful! They really were not trying to put in a lot of effort for this area in particular. They're like, this view, who's gonna look this closely? It's lava. You think that's the idea, is they just want to show you where Miklah's been or not? The thing is that I don't think the butterflies themselves, I think it's kind of like with Melina and the smoldering butterflies. I don't think it's like an indication of, like, you know, the butterflies spawn from Melina or Miklah or anything like that. I think it's just like they have their own independent, like, ecology thing, and, like, you know, thematically, of course, there's a butterfly that corresponds to them, right? Like, smoldering butterflies seem to just be spawns of, like, fire, generally speaking. Right? And then you have, like, the special ones, which are born of Mesmer's flame. Which, of course, would be consistent with that, right? Like, okay, you have special fire, you know, versions of them. And then Miklah, the problem with the Miklah butterflies is, like, there's kind of, like, an association between them and water, but it's not super consistent. And then you just find them in random little corners, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Miklah likes traveling, clearly. He got his full value out of Torrent. Which makes it a shame that we don't get to use Torrent in the boss battle so we can have some cool little one-off dialogue. Not asking for much, Miyazaki. Just a one-off line would have been fine. Or hell, even better, maybe some commentary from Melina. Would that be nice, Miyazaki? Man was like, let's give him concept art and then we'll be done. Alright, I think that's it, chat. I've covered every square inch of this area looking for all of these little environmental details that could be worth including when talking about the Snake of Gelmir and the lore and the history of the volcano and stuff. I'm not going to go as far back as talk about the whole Deathbird stuff and all that. Even though I'm pretty confident in that analysis, it's just that I don't think it's relevant and it would kind of just be shoehorned in. I think it would just invite people to beg me to cover Deathbirds and stuff. It's like, no, please. Then they turn blue on the mountaintops. Yeah, like there's that variety. Like, it's like, oh gosh. Yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm like, I'm sure it would make sense if I understood the game's cosmology, but goddamn, I don't want to have to do all that work right now. I'm still just trying to understand the basic history. Oh, of course. I angled it, and I think it's slightly... It fell out because I angled it upside down for a moment with the cord. Oh, my God. There we go. Yeah, everything else is just what you'd expect. I really like those potted plants. No, I honestly think the sanctified buds on Gelmir has nothing to do with Miklah. I think it's actually just red Glinstone. It's them being like, okay, do we create a separate item for red Glinstone, or do we use the existing Miklah's you know, sanctified blood stuff, which is literally just the blue Glinstone bud, but color swapped to be red, and just use that as the stand-in. And I think that's the idea. I think it's just recontextualization. My internet went down for a few minutes. Well, lucky for you, Night Scout, because you're not going to have to worry about your internet, because I'm ending the stream now. Anyway, guys, I think I've covered everything else that I wanted to today, so I'm happy with that. Hopefully, I don't need to ever look at Gelmir again for the foreseeable future. Yep, so guess we're going to just move on from there. See you guys later. Bye-bye.